Greetings everyone, welcome to another Football Manager 2007 video. Last video we took a leap 8.5 years into the future after I got sacked from my job at St Johnstone, and we had a look to see how St Johnstone had got on without me after they'd sacked me, and it turned out they hadn't done so well. They'd been relegated, promoted, relegated, promoted, relegated again, become a bit of a yo-yo club. I mean, I guess we've always been seen as a yo-yo club, but that was proper yo-yo club stuff. You know, one season it'd be up, next season it'd be down. And this time, what we're going to do is, instead of fast forwarding 8.5 years into the future, I've actually made 10 new saves, and we're going to start at the very beginning, and we're going to I've done this already, I've simmed 10 saves 8.5 years into the game, which is how long I lasted at the club, and we're going to see how the club would have done without me, how they might have done without me, because I think this will be interesting for a number of reasons. I wouldn't do this with my 2005 or 2006 save because the success I achieved in those games was unreal, and probably says more about the difficulty levels of those games compared with 07. 07 is far more challenging. But it also, it just gives me an idea of how good I am as a manager, because I kept us in the division for the best part of those years. I got promoted, I never got relegated, partly because I got sacked before I got relegated, but still, I never got relegated, so that's the main thing. We're going to see how the team gets on, or would have got on without me. Now, the manager at the time was Owen Coyle. The 06-07 season, which is when this starts in real life, was one of our... it was a very successful season for us because we only lost the league on the last day of the season. We got to two National Cup semi-finals. I think we only got to the quarter-final of the Challenge Cup. But overall, it was rather successful. We had a team that scored a lot of goals. Probably one of the strongest teams we had when we were in the first division. So I'm interested to see what happens. Basically, currently I'm on my original save, the one I got sacked off of. I'm on here because I want to show you that that's my playing time, about 6 days, which is, what's that? It's about 140 something hours, so it's not bad. Anyway, as you can see here, I have got 10 saves. I know one of them's called sim number 0, but that's because sim number 10 doesn't stack. It doesn't go in numerical order, it goes in alphabetical order basically. And we're going to go through all of them, and we're going to see how St Johnstone did in the league and in the cups, and we're going to see if that's better or worse than what I did. And I'll be doing a comparison on a spreadsheet, so I'll be able to keep track of it, and it should be interesting just to compare my managerial ability with that of the AI. So as you can see, I am using Microsoft Excel here. This is an older version, it's probably about 20 years old at this point, if I was to guess, but we're going to use it to compare the different simulations and what St Johnstone achieved with AI managers in that time. As you can see, there's already a row filled out. That is obviously my achievements. So as you can see here, first season, we've got first in the Scottish First Division, winners of the Scottish Challenge Cup. That was obviously, arguably our most successful season. That being said, if you go to season number 7, which was the 11-12 season, we came 8th in the SPL. That's kind of indifferent, but we got to the quarter-final of both major cup competitions and obviously competed in Europe. This season was pretty successful in terms of the league. The season 7 was the 12-13 season. This was the 11-12 season, and we came 5th in the league with a depleted squad. So, and I say depleted because I was relying on youth, basically. So yeah, that was my best league finish. So this is just to give you a bit of a taste about how things are lined up. As you can see, we've got the simulation numbers down the side as well as the original, so we can compare and contrast what I achieved with these simulations. And yeah, should give us a good indication of what's going on. As you can see, Europe's with a question mark. Is it likely? It could happen, I found that in these early versions, the more I play the game, the better Scotland does in the coefficients, so more teams qualify for Europe. Therefore, it's possible that the AI might have got St Johnstone into Europe, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, this is the setup of the the spreadsheet. Let's get into the first simulation. So here we are, 1st of January 2015, slightly further on than I made it, but St Johnstone shouldn't have played any other games, so yeah, it should be exactly the same place I was at when I was sacked. So we're simulation number 0 here. As you can see, it took about 3 hours 25 minutes to sim up to this point, so if you multiply that by 10, that's, well, you're looking to the upwards of 30 hours, and well, with the hours and then 25 minutes, that's what, well, that's about half an hour, so that's another 5, so 35 hours, which obviously you could technically do over 2 days. Anyway, I'm intrigued as to see where they are in this first sim, and this might give us an indication as to where they might finish in other sims. Let's go to the Premier League. There they are. As you can see, they're 11th. So this is halfway through the season. They're 11th, one place better off than I was. That being said, though, the expectations that this manager is under might be different depending on how what they achieved in previous years. I guess first of all, the best place to get all the data is from the competitions tab here. Let's go to domestic leagues. Right, so as you can see, oh, look at that, they finished as high as 3rd. Jings. So as you can see, 06-07, they came first, same as I did. I can't tell if that's a better points tally. And they got promoted, they survived for 4 years, and then they got relegated again. Then they were down in the first division for a couple of years, and then they were back up. Clearly, there are elements of this that are better than what I did. For example, the 3rd and 4th place finishes. The points tally too are much better than anything I achieved. But that being said, they did get relegated. And, well, they got relegated quicker than I would have. But they did bounce back. And their 10th, 11th, 10th and 12th positions are a lot lower than what I achieved. I was very much more mid-table. I guess more lower mid-table, if you like, if we're being pedantic. But that's interesting. Let's have a look at... I see they got... Oh yeah, so they got to Europe, obviously. I wonder how they did there. Let's check out the Challenge Cup first. So they did win it, as I did. They won it the season they got promoted the 2nd time. They lost in the cup final then, and they got knocked out in the 2nd round the season after they got relegated. League Cup. No semi-final appearances, it looks like. They even got knocked out in the first round. And they had a couple of quarter-final appearances, but nothing really to shout about. Is that different in the Scottish Cup? Oh, what? They actually won the Scottish Cup? You're having a laugh. Okay then, so the season that St Johnstone were in the first division, they managed to win the Scottish Cup. They also lost the quarter-final. They made one other final appearance, in which... Is that... Hang on, 12-13. They were in the first division, I think. Yeah, so both seasons that St Johnstone got promoted, they ended up in the final of the Scottish Cup. Interesting. So that is much, much better than I did. I never got past the quarter-finals. Let's see how they did in the Euro... We'll do the Euro Cup first. So they qualified twice. So that was obviously because of the Scottish Cup win. As you can see, they got knocked out in Group A, so they actually made it past the first round, which was better than what I achieved. And then let me guess, they won the Eurovaz. No, they lost in the 2nd round. On the European front, there was 3 more participations than what I got, and in the Scottish Cup there was more... Well, they won it. I mean, come on, that is... You can't get much better than winning it. So definitely far, far better than what I did. I'll probably spend some time filling out that data. Now we're on to the proper sims, the sims with an actual number. This is sim number 1, and if we just go... Well, yeah, let's just go straight into it. Okay, let's check the Premier League. Are St Johnstone in the Premier League? They are. They are 6th in the Premier League, halfway through. Now, let's have a look. I'm not going to look at their history, or their cups rather. Let's have a look. Interesting. So as you can see here, it took them 2, 4, 6 years to get out of the first division. And then they've spent the last 3 in comfortable mid-table, it has to be said, in the SPL. So that, one would assume, would imply that they've not done well in the cups. Although that being said, they did win a cup in the last sim while they were in the first division, so we shouldn't write them off. As you can see here, they got a Euro Cup place, which suggests they won the Scottish Cup at one time. But let's check out the Challenge Cup first. They won it on 2 occasions. the 07-08 season, the 08-09. They came runners-up in 09-10. Of course, keep in mind St Johnstone are one of the stronger teams whenever they're in the lower divisions, or they generally have been over the last 20 or so years. Let's have a look at the League Cup. Yeah, they obviously don't take it seriously. They only reached the semi-final once, which, that being said, is further than I ever got them. They reached the quarter-final once. I got them to the quarter-final like twice or 3 times. Scottish Cup, yep, as I suspected, they won it in the 2012-2013 season, which they were in the Premier League at that point, so fair play. Looks like third round quarter-final has been their other finishes. Let's see how they did in the Euro Cup. They lost in the Euro Cup first round. So that's interesting. In terms of my immediate reactions, obviously that's the second sim in a row where they've won the Scottish Cup. Second sim in a row where they've not done amazingly well in the League Cup. But interestingly, they never actually got out to the first division at first time of asking. It took them 6 years. Is that 6 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 years to get out. And they finished as low as 6th in the first division at one point. Alright, we're on Sim 2 now. And for the first time, St Johnstone are not in the top flight. Interesting. So, does that hint at possible relegation? They're bottom of the first division. Got a bunch of youth players in. Are these guys any good? No. No, none of them are good. What about this guy? He's alright. Anyway, let's have a look. Affiliate clubs. Everton. Fair play. Let's have a look at domestic leagues. Okay then, so St Johnstone were relegated. Second season. So after finishing second, narrowly missing out on promotion, got relegated to the second division, then came back up, and have pretty much been a mid-table first division side ever since. They did finish third one season. That's interesting. Let's have a quick look then. Challenge Cup, they won it once. Fair play. I see they've gotten the Euro Cup again. Don't tell me they've won the Scottish Cup. Right. Okay, so clearly they've not done that well. They've not done much better than us in the League Cup. Scottish Cup, you're having a laugh. You're having an actual laugh. What is it with this team winning the Scottish Cup every single simulation? It makes me feel like I should have won it. And what's more, 09-10... Oh no, that was the season. That was their first season back in the first division. Jings. Right, we're on to Sim 3. As per usual, we'll go into the Premier League first. I don't see them there. Let's hop down to the first division, and there they are, mid-table, 6th. Right, they've probably won the Scottish Cup, but we'll look at domestic leagues first. Right, okay, so they've not been promoted, but they've also not been relegated. Their lowest finish seems to be 9th in 2007-2008, which means they must have survived a playoff. As you can see, no Euro Cup here, which means they have not won the Scottish Cup. Furthest they got was quarter-final. League Cup, furthest they got was quarter-final. And Challenge Cup, well, there's your customary win there. They were also runners-up in 2009-10. So finally, a pretty ordinary save. Brilliant. That's exactly what I want to see. Right, let's take a look at sim number 4. As you can see, St Johnstone are in the Scottish Premier League. Let me guess, they've won the Scottish Cup. No, they haven't. They have not won the Scottish Cup. They did get to the final though, so they almost won the Scottish Cup. Let's have a look at the domestic leagues. And it's a story similar to my own career. As you can see, got promoted first season, survived relegation to second, and then after that, they were very consistently lower half of the table. They broke into the top half once, and at the minute they're 9th, which is obviously better than what I was doing. So fair play. Didn't win the Scottish Challenge Cup, so I've got that on this. Oh, they did win the Scottish League Cup though. There you go. They got to the semi-final twice as well. So here is Sim 5. Once again, we'll check the Premier League. St Johnstone are not there. They are 6th once more in the first division. And now let's check the domestic leagues. They've been relegated not once, but twice. Looks like they were relegated first season. Which is hard to believe given how good their team was. How good the team was. They were relegated via the playoffs, it looks like. and then they were relegated again 2012, 2013. Both times they bounced back at first time of asking, as you would expect. As you can see, no Euro Cup, which suggests they haven't won the Scottish Cup. Furthest they got was the quarter-final. The furthest they got in the League Cup was also the quarter-final, because they've been in the lower leagues. They won the Challenge Cup, though, customary Challenge Cup win. They haven't been runner-up, though. Lost in the semi-final there. But yeah, interestingly, the highest finish they had in the first division was second. They got second once, but otherwise it's been a lower half finish every time. So this is probably the worst that they've done in any of the saves so far, given the fact they spent twice in the third tier of Scottish football. So I don't know, it's pretty interesting. So we're into the sixth simulation, and just going to see how things are going. Sixth place in the league, that's impressive in the top division. They've got Adam Virgo on loan. Virgil. That's interesting. I see there's a cut win already. Okay, so they got promoted and straight away. Oh, they even finished third, which means they will definitely have gotten the Euro Cup. They got the Euro Vaz as well a few times, I'm sure. But this seems to be a pretty strong season. Look at that. So they finished bottom half, and then they got two top half finishes. They came 11th, but that's by the by. Scottish Cup, didn't win it. Scottish League Cup, didn't win it, although they got to the final. Challenge Cup, didn't win it. So they've not won any major tournaments, so tisk. However, they did get to the Euro Cup group stage, and they lost the first round. Eurovaz, third round. Alright, well there you go. Not a bad run in the top division anyway. No cup wins, but as you can see, they've lasted as long as I did in the top division, albeit final season they're up there, they're not fighting relegation. So we're on to Sim 7. St Johnstone are not in the Premier League, and once again 6th in the first division. It's not the first time that has happened. In terms of domestic leagues, they've stayed in the first division for the whole time. Scottish Cup, they've not done much in, it's fair to say. Same with the League Cup. And Challenge Cup they've not won, although they have been to the final on 2 occasions. So this is probably the most underwhelming save in a way. Like, nothing's been won. They've not even won the second division after getting relegated. They've not won the Challenge Cup. They've not been promoted from the first. It's, yeah, kind of underwhelming. Let's have a quick look at their league positions. Second, so that's good, but then 6th, 5th, 4th, 7th, 8th, 7th, 4th and 6th. All, fairly mid-table, really. Right, so we've come to the penultimate simulation. Let's double check let's check the Premier League. As you can see, St Johnstone are 4th. If we go into domestic leagues, we can see that, oh, look at that. So they got promoted from the first division in the 3rd season after a 2nd place and 7th place finish, and then they won the league. They came 8th, then they came 11th, 4 seasons running, and then they got 4th. One thing I notice is they got 11th in 2012-2013 with a 45 points. There's no European competitions there. As you can see, they've only made it to the quarter-final once. League Cup, they've got to the final. Challenge Cup, they managed to win it the season they got promoted. So again, fairly ordinary. A Challenge Cup win, but no other real cup success to speak of. And now we're going to be taking a look at the final simulation. Where are St Johnstone? They're not in the Premier League. Are they in the first division? Yes, they are. They're 4th. Affiliate clubs. Whoa! I'm glad I clicked on this. So many affiliate clubs, and I'm guessing St Johnstone are the parent team for all. Yeah. So they did get promoted once, but they ended up getting relegated. Interesting. Where did they finish in the first season? 3rd, 6th, 3rd, 8th, 7th, 4th, then 1st, then a 12th. So that's interesting. Scottish Cup, how did they do? Got to the quarter final on a couple of occasions, but that's about it. League Cup, they never made it past the 3rd round. And Challenge Cup, they never won either. They got to the semi-finals once. So this is a very, very, very underwhelming yeah, a very underwhelming simulation. But that is it. That is it for all the sims. I'll record this data now on the spreadsheet, and then we will take time to analyse it. So now we get on to the analysis part, where we take a look at the spreadsheet, take a look at how each season went for each save, for each simulation. And I guess the issue is I should have put each simulation together instead of each season, but we've done it this way, and I can't be bothered reformatting it. So there is a wee bit of colour coding, but not too much. As you can see, this is the first season. Obviously, this is the only season that has St Johnstone in the same division, because it's obviously the start of the game. 3 times. Let's discount this top line, because this top line is my save, effectively. This line, or all these lines, these are all the sims, as you can see down the side here. And I guess the question is, well, how does my save compare to the other ones? Immediately you can see that only 3 times the league was won in the first season, so that kind of puts me in the upper echelon. And as you can see by the points tally, I got the highest points tally. Didn't get the most goals, I don't think. Oh, I did actually. Most goals for, joint least goals conceded. Yeah, so that's interesting. So I had the best attempt, technically. I also won the Challenge Cup. That was never done, although obviously it was done in future seasons. Obviously, I was also outdone by, Sim 0, where the team won the Scottish Cup. It was a pretty solid start for me, and the AI, again, it was indifferent. And arguably, every simulation finished in the top 3 bar 2. Simulation 1 finished 4th. Simulation 5 finished 9th. If we move on to season 2, so keep 72 in mind. That was my points tally from my first division winning campaign. Season 2, you can see things are a little bit different. So 4 of these seasons took place in the SPL. I survived relegation with 32 points, which is a very, very low points tally in comparison to other teams. For example, Simulation 4, St Johnstone survived relegation with 40 points, 8 more than me. They come 9th in Simulation 6. We've got another one here, 10th with 45, which is over 13, well, not over 13, it is exactly 13 points more than me. We've got Challenge Cup win here. In terms of cup form, things are pretty average. There is a semi-final appearance here for one of the SPL attempts, and there's also, of course, the UEFA Cup, but that's kind of irrelevant, as none of the European jaunts were particularly spectacular. But with regards to the first division, as you can see, most of the first division finishes were mid-table. And actually, this guy got relegated. I should have marked that. Darn. Red stands out very well. So we did get relegated via the playoffs there, which is interesting. Obviously, bounced back at first attempt, but you kind of expect that from a team of St Johnstone's size. Apart from that, there's not much else to be said, other than no team finished really high in the SPL at first attempt. But as I said, the first division campaigns, only one team finished top 4 on this occasion, so a bit different there. As you can see here, we have another relegation I forgot to mark. Let's do that. So season 3, again, a second division victory, fair play, another Challenge Cup win, which is kind of par, I guess. There was also a league win, 76 points, that was more than what I achieved in the first division. So yeah, we've got a good record here. In terms of SPL seasons, I came 9th in my save, 41 points, which is again quite a low points tally. Attempt 0 came 4th, and then we've got 8th and 9th, so again kind of mid-table finishes for the SPL attempts here. And in terms of the cups, again not much has happened apart from the Challenge Cup. We've got a bit here, as you can see. We've got a few Eurovaz appearances, including a third round appearance, which I think is the final round. And there's also another Scottish Cup win, this time for attempt 2. In terms of the SPL attempts, well, actually, let's have a look at the first division attempts. We've got a 4th place, a 5th place, 9th place, 7th, 4th, 8th. In terms of the AI, it's not that good, and I think what's happening is at the start of the game, St Johnstone's got a really strong team that's pushing for promotion, as you could tell by the starts the AI made in the first season. But then, as their best players start to get sold and all that, the team becomes weaker and kind of falls behind. Maybe teams getting relegated, maybe there's other first division teams that get invested in or something, I don't know. But as you can see, they are falling behind. We've also got a third place finish here, which I think is the highest place finish of any of the simulations. One third place finish. So it wasn't a common occurrence, but it happened. Fair play. I came 8th this season, and then the other simulations came 8th, 7th, and 8th. Did we get promoted? We did get promoted, and that promotion ended in an 8th place finish, which is obviously very good for a promoted side in these simulations. 49 points. Not too bad. I got 47 from 8th place. Again, nothing much to shout about beyond the Scottish Cup win, and I guess the runners-up in the Challenge Cup, but really, you want to be winning this. Here we've got another runner-up Challenge Cup spot. We've got 3 UEFA Cup appearances, UEFA Cup first round, so they lost first game there and made it to the final game of the Eurovaz. Beyond that, and by Eurovaz, I'm talking about the Intertotal Cup. Eurovaz is easier to say. Yeah, again, Cups, nothing much to shout about, apart from 2 semi-final appearances in both major tournaments for a couple of simulations, which is obviously different to what I did. Season 5, my best performances were quarter-final. I got quarter-final League Cup first season, quarter-final Scottish Cup third season. Low finishes. As you can see, we've got relegation here. Let's add that. Relegation here from the team that finished third. I survived relegation, 41 points for 10th place, which is it's not too bad. Got another 10th place here with 45. And then we've got an 11th place with 38. In terms of the first division, we've got 2 second place finishes, but again, a lot of mid-table, 5th and 7th and everything like that. Let's move on to the next one. As you can see, we've got promotion here, which is the attempt 1, getting promoted there. As you can see, we've actually got 3 cup wins in Season 6. We had one from a Scottish Cup win from a First Division St Johnstone. We had a League Cup win from an SPL St Johnstone, and then, as you can see, this simulation 1, there was the double, the League and the Challenge Cup, so fair play. But again, average performances in the League. In terms of the SPL, 11th, 9th, 5th, which is one of the highest. In fact, it is the highest, so this was my best season. I got top 6, 50 points, which is okay, and I got the highest points tally out of any of the teams, or not highest points tally, but highest place out of any of the teams in this simulation. In terms of the first division, we've got 4th, a 2nd, a 1st, so it's kind of spread out. There's some that are very low, like this team here, and then there's some that are right up there with obviously a league win, a runner-up spot. There's more European places, including us, so we got to the UEFA Cup first round, albeit that was our only round. Same with this team here. Got another Scottish Cup win, a bunch of runner-up spots in the Cup and a Challenge Cup win. So fair play. This team here, what a season for this team. The first division, runners up in the Scottish Cup, winners of the Challenge Cup, unbelievable. We finished 8th in my save. As you can see, we got 6th place, a 9th place, 3rd. So that's actually the second 3rd place finish. I didn't notice that. And then an 11th. So kind of a mixed bag of results here. Do we have any other relegations? I don't think. Actually, we do. That's a relegation there. So relegation from the Scottish First Division down to the Second Division. So again, kind of mixed. First Division is mid-table still. So there does seem to be an element of mid-table mediocrity in the First Division from some of these simulations, which is interesting. Not many teams progressing beyond the quarter-final other than the 3 standout performances there. How many semi-finals are there? I should have colour-coded the semi-finals. We've got quite a few, well, 1. Yes, it's very rare. It seems very rare for a team to make the semi-final. The 8th season and final full season, we've got a first place finish in the Second Division. That's pretty obvious. 12th place finish in the SPL, so that simulation team was relegated. More runners up in the League Cup here for 2 SPL teams. Actually, that's a good point. We had a runner up from a First Division team here. First season back in the SPL for Simulation 0, 10th place, 46 points, not bad. I came 8th with less points in my save, which is interesting. I remember I actually came 8th quite late on in the season, having put together a good run. Got 6th place finish, 7th, 11th. So again, I guess what we can deduce from the SPL finishes is that there are some that are quite high. You know, there's a 3rd, 2 thirds, a 4th, my 5th place. There's a 6th place finish there, but more often than not, they're lower half. But they do seem to have more points than what I would have. So it's almost as if I was underperforming on league position because of my points tally. Like if I had as many points as the other simulations had, then I would be finishing higher in the league. That's almost what it feels like. As you can see, I got a double quarterfinal space here, which is, I guess that's my, oh look, 2 seasons running I got the quarterfinals, which is, well, that's the best I did. 2 teams avoided relegation down here with more than 40 points. And apart from that, 2 first round UEFA Cup appearances, but that's kind of meaningless. And a Challenge Cup win. First division performances, there's only 3 teams in the first division at this point, which is interesting. So obviously the number of SPL teams has increased. There was actually 2 league wins in this season that I never noticed. 60 points and 64 points. Let's move on to the final season. As you can see, so one team got relegated in season 8. One team got promoted from the second division. So it's 5 and 5, so it's even. And actually, if you take all 10 simulations plus my save, I'm bang in the middle in terms of performance, because we've got 5 in the first division and we've got 5 in the SPL, and the 5 in the SPL are all better off than me. So it's like I've parred, it's like I'm bang in the middle. And I guess that's kind of the conclusion we can take away from this, is that in terms of the AI managers, obviously there's some insane results like winning the Scottish Cup. We've got a few League Cup wins if I can find them. Yep, just 2 League Cup wins, and there was 4 Scottish Cup wins, which is insane. So it's almost as if I underperformed in the Cups to an extent. But outside of the wins and the occasional runner-up spot, I don't think I did too badly, like compared with the other attempts. It's like I did par. I was like average, if you like. I guess that really goes for most of my career. My highest place finish was 5th, which happened once, and as we can tell, there was very few top 6 finishes. So yeah, 7 top 6 finishes out of 27 SPL seasons, 27 full seasons. So it's quite interesting, as in it shows that it wasn't a common occurrence. There was also relegations to the second division, let us not forget, on 3 occasions. It happened in one save twice. So I guess taking into account that some teams in some simulations finished in the 3rd tier, or they played in the 3rd tier, some simulations ended up in, you know, mid-table mediocrity in the first division. I think I did pretty well, not only to gain promotion in the first season, but to also to keep the team in the division for the entire time. I mean, how many saves did that? So yeah, in terms of consistency, the top division 6 and 4 are the only ones to match me, so that obviously puts me in the upper echelon. My points tally for the position I'm in is quite low compared to some of the other simulations in a similar seasons. So that's interesting. It's interesting to think about it that kind of a way, because I wasn't wholly satisfied sometimes with my performances. Let's have a quick look at goals actually to finish off. So goals scored in the top division, I got 50 there, 41, 39, 40. So that was actually a good season for goals. Season 3, was this the Lord Bentner season? 52, 47, 48, 40. So I'm actually scoring, in the early part, I'm scoring more goals than they are. The season where I got a load of 0-0 draws. 27 goals to 56. 50, 51, 51. So I had almost half the number of goals in that season. Yeah, so again, I was second bottom there. To begin with, I was outscoring the other simulations, but laterally, I was scoring a lot less, which is very interesting. I had a real issue with goal scorers and that laterally, which is why you had the likes of Chris Maguire, who I had for a season, then he went out on loan, then he came back, and then he was off because heck, I couldn't get him scoring. Actually, that was a good idea. I need to go and check, see how many managers are still in a job 8.5 years on. I will do that and I will tell you, and then we will finish the video for good. So I was outlasted by, well, the first manager that St Johnstone had in the save was Owen Coyle. So he was the one I was really comparing myself against here. And I was outlasted by him on 2 of the simulations. 2 of the simulations he still had the job, whereas I'd obviously been sacked. However, that means I outlasted him on 8 of the simulations. So, you know, overall, I think I did pretty well. Anyway, that will do it for this video. And yes, I will hopefully be back next week with some 2006, Football Manager 2006, or this week, depending on when I get uploaded. Might come back to Football Manager 2007, really just depends what I'm motivated to do in future. But thank you very much for watching this video. I will catch you later.